Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle is hitting theaters soon. Does it have fun and games? We'll let you know right here on Screen Junkies News. I'm Dan Murrell.
I'm Roth, Cornet, and I am always in eager anticipation of hearing the pun.
That one wasn't so great. But anyway, it's more of a reference.
It was a reference to the song by the rock group Guns N' Roses.
Guns N' Roses.
Did I really just say
the
all
rock
that?
and roll group,
The
Guns N'
rock and
Roses,
roll
yes.
group. Oh, hashtag old today. You know what isn't old? The new Jumanji.
No, it is, but it is, I would say, you know, they were very careful to point out this is not a reboot. Mm-hmm. It is a sequel, but not really.
It's a spiritual sequel.
Yes.
In this world, the first film does exist. However, and this is something I had not seen Jumanji, actually. One of those things that I missed. And I saw this film and then I went back and watched the original Jumanji. And that movie was shockingly dark.
Very dark for a quote-unquote kids movie.
Yes.
Yeah, this is very much not that. I feel like a lot of people had a very hard connection to Jumanji from their childhood. Of course, Robin Williams,
Yes.
I mean, a brilliant performer. I think the studio knew that they couldn't really say, oh, we're redoing Jumanji, because that would have just kind of enraged a lot of people off the bat. So they kind of smartly said, like, well, it's not a reboot, it's a sequel. But it's a sequel in name only, because it really kind of reboots the entire the general concept is the same. You're in a game, you have to get out of the game, but everything else is kind of updated, and now you have, instead of a bunch of kids, you now have 4 kids playing adults.
Yes.
Or adults playing kids.
Yes. And here's the thing that I think that this movie smartly does.
Yeah.
That it's actually, in a way, the mirror image of the Robin Williams Jumanji, because I really liked it, but I thought it was a very different kind of film than this one. Mm-hmm. In the sense that, in that film, Jumanji's coming into our world. In this film, it's based on a video game. You go into the game, so you're immersed in the world of the game the way that you would be in a video game now. You play a character. That's how there's a body switching element where you go into a different body. And so this nerdy little kid, this boy, is now The Rock, and this sassy teenage girl is now Jack Black, and things like that. And this is also tonally kind of the mirror image of Jumanji, in that this one, there's nothing really dark about it. It's very light. It's having fun with it itself. It knows what it is. It's a quick adventure movie.
Yeah, I mean, it has stakes in the sense that adventure movies have stakes. But there's some things this movie did that I thought were necessary. There are a few things that I thought that were unnecessary. The whole body switching element of, you have these 4 kids that are sucked into this video game, and now they're in the bodies of, this kind of geeky guy's in The Rock's body, and the teenage girl is in Jack Black's body. Like, that's where most of the comedy from this movie comes from, and I think that's the strongest element. Is they knew that they had Jack Black, Dwayne Johnson, Kevin Hart, and Karen Gillan, who are 4 really talented actors, have great personalities, and they smartly leaned into that, and that's where the comedy comes from. The adventure elements of this, to me, were fairly standard, I guess would be fairly standard. But there was some things, I think that they could have done to kind of suck some of the air out of it. There is a villain character played by Bobby Cannavale, who I think was completely unnecessary to this movie and kind of slowed it down. And I felt like you can get from A to B. You have a very simple quest, and I think you could have gotten from A to B without kind of injecting this extra third element into it. I think could have streamlined it even more.
He was. Here's the thing. I think he was doing a broad villain, right? And he was sort of riffing on that idea. However, it did come across as just unaccountably weird. Yeah. And I kept expecting to see some kind of resolve to that, or more of a backstory to that, or a twist on that. And it never came. And so I was like, oh, you're just a weird guy. You're just weird because you're taken over with greed. So it was kind of a Gollum-y thing that they didn't really totally land for me.
Well, yeah, because the other non-playable characters in this movie, they had fun with that, and they had to kind of repeat things, and they're not allowed to be interactive. And then he was kind of from a different movie, and that he was kind of doing his own thing, and
he didn't have to adhere to those same rules, right? And yet he wasn't one of
the playable characters. So I felt like that was just an element that could have been lifted out of the movie, and you could still have the same action beats, just a little bit quicker, because it felt a little bit of its length for me. I think this was a Christmas release for this movie is probably smart, because I think this is the kind of movie that might have gotten lost in the summer tangle of movies just in any year. And this is a movie that, if you're going to take the family, I wouldn't take small kids to see this movie. I think this is way too scary for kids, 7 and under ish. You know, so I wouldn't take the entire family, but I mean, this is the kind of movie you can take your kids, you can take your grandma, you can take your parents. People are gonna laugh. It's an adventure. You know, and for that, it's, you know, it's fine. It's fine. It's a good family holiday movie, and this very lightweight entertainment. You get in, you get some action, you get some laughs, you get out. You know, it's not going to change the world, but
certainly, I don't think that's what it's trying to do either. I mean, it moves. To me, it actually moved quite quickly. I think the 4 leads have great chemistry.
Yeah.
They're having a good time together on screen, and you're having a good time watching them. These are very likable actors, and there's a 5th that comes in that we won't talk too much about that I think works very well within that framework as well. There's a little bit of a lesson there about kind of finding your inner self, and you had it all along and that kind of thing. In the scale of body switching, Jack Black killed it. He is so talented, and we forget that. And there was never a moment watching him that I didn't think he was that girl.
Yeah.
And he could have been a very stereotypical, unlikable teenage girl, but he was a girl that I really liked and wanted to be friends with.
Yeah, Jack Black for me was easily the standout, which is like, for you to be on the screen with those other 3 actors and to be the standout in a movie, that's pretty impressive. And I mean, I think of the 3 of them, he's the one that's been doing it the longest.
Yes.
This far, believe it or not, it sounds weird to say, but he's the veteran of that kind of lead 4 actors. And yeah, he was easily for me the standout. He got the most to do because he was inhabiting the character that was the most different from himself. You know,
he was the most capable too. I would say. You know, Karen Gillan was playing a sort of awkward teenage girl.
Yeah.
And she was very funny and very good, but that's a little less of a stretch. The Rock, I think, embodied that character. However, in moments, the reason that you have The Rock in that movie is you just need him to be The Rock in certain moments, which he did, and he was excellent at. And then Kevin Hart, who is hilarious, can truly only really is so Kevin Hart that what I wish that they would have done is have the teen boy that he body switched with sort of instead do his Kevin Hart impression, because then it would have felt married together, because Kevin Hart was just going to be himself, who was great and really funny. But yeah, Jack Black for me was the standout. I think it's a fun movie. I think it's a good time. It's funny. It's light. It's good for the holidays.
It is. It's light. It is. I've forgotten half of it already.
Sure.
That's a good thing and a bad thing. You know, it's not going to be something that you're like sitting at the end of the year or even next week going like, oh wow, remember Jumanji? Like, this is something that you know. It's safe. It's smartly found 4 charismatic leads. It leaned into their charisma. The entire movie operated on do the leads make this movie work, or do the leads not make this movie work? They cast well, thus this movie works because they have 4 leads that they leaned heavily on. It's not that hard. Really, sometimes it's just like get good actors, let them play to their strengths, and the movie leans on that heavily. And I think that because of that, it works, because that's what this movie has to offer.
Yeah.
Is what those actors have to offer. Other than that, it's pretty standard fare.
Sure.
But, you know, if you're looking for a safe,
very
fun alternative very strange cameo at the end. But if you're looking for a safe, fun alternative for the holidays, I think they smartly realized that this is the kind of movie that you want to put out during that time frame, because that's the kind of movie that people are looking for. They're either looking for that, or they're looking for the Oscar bait stuff, which is also coming out at the end of the year. And, you know, to program it here with those stars, I think they knew what they were doing.
So my recommendation would be this: go in with tempered expectations, right? If you're just looking for a fun movie to watch with your family over the holidays, that is sort of escapist and charming, and low impact in that way, in terms of it's not demanding a lot of you emotionally, and yet it'll hit a couple of warm beats within that framework, and it's like an enjoyable adventure rom to watch. I think it's a really enjoyable film in that way. I think it's well made in that it does what it intends to do. There is a very weird cameo at the end that I was okay.
It opens up a whole bag of new questions about this universe that I don't get.
It just opens up a whole bunch of new questions, and that's okay. I recommend it in that framework. I do recommend this movie.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to tell you to run to the jungle and go see it. But if the family's together and you're just looking for a fun option, Sure, why not? It's not a movie that you have to see in theaters, but it's a movie that, you know, if you were going to say, should I go see Jumanji or not go see Jumanji, I would say, why not? Why not?
It's what, and I will say this, I've seen several comedies this year that are actual just comedies that are not funny at all, and that I did not laugh in, and I laughed far more and enjoyed Jumanji far more than those comedies. So it has that going for it too. It's quite funny.
Yeah, I mean, you know, if you were gonna put me down to it and say, should I see Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle, or should I not see it, I would say, why not?
Why not?
So that's my rating. I like this rating system I'm coming up with on the fly as we go. Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle gets a Dan rating of why not?
And I would say, sure. That's my rating. Jumanji, sure. I liked it. I thought it was fun. You let us know what you think if you've seen the movie in the comments below. And does the original hold a special place in your heart?
Yeah. Sure.
Sure. I mean, I just saw it.
Thanks for watching.